North and South Seafood and Smokehouse presents The Kelly Sheffield Show on 100.5 ESPN and the ESPN Wisconsin app. Alongside Wisconsin Badgers volleyball head coach Kelly Sheffield, here's Jon Arias.
Welcome in. This is The Kelly Sheffield Show, brought to you by North and South Seafood and Smokehouse on the Wisconsin Badgers Volleyball Radio Network. On today's show, we're going to talk about, of course, the NCAA Tournament, where the Badgers are getting ready to play at the UW Fieldhouse. Plus, we'll have time for a few questions from you, the fans, a little bit later on. But now joined by Wisconsin head coach Kelly Sheffield. So congratulations on making the tournament again. What's it like for a team? When you guys were watching the selection show on Sunday, what is that like?
I mean, just anticipation, a lot of smiles on the faces of the players. You're just excited about getting to this part, and you're ready to rock and roll. It's, it's just everything for the culmination of the entire year, everything that you put in, the early morning lifts in the summers and for some of them graduating from high school early, it's, battling through injuries and just being on the road a lot. It's just now's the really good stuff. So you can see that in the faces when you're waiting during selection show.
So what's it like then for you as a coach when you see you get your first round matchup, you finally know who you're going to play, and then you see the potential second round matchups too? Yeah,
it's media right away, and then it's trying to get with our staff, everybody knows what they're doing. So Jess is getting all kinds of things like, we have some people during the tournament that will stay in hotels here on campus, especially the players in the dorms, because the sleep quality can be iffy from time to time. So she's doing that, and communicating with families and all of that, the teams that are coming in, the staffs, we're all diving into film and stats and trying to get as much knowledge as possible. It's usually three teams that very little about. And so you're just trying to get your head wrapped around each of those. And then once we get into the week, since we play on back-to-back days, it's really, you can't, all of a sudden prepare for your second opponent with that quick of turnaround. And so, North Carolina UTEP, we dove into some of their stuff. We gave information to our team just a little bit at the beginning of the week. And then it's become focused on Eastern Illinois as we've gotten closer to this first match. And so that whoever that you play that second match, if you're fortunate enough and good enough to make it, it's like, oh yeah, okay, I remember seeing this attacker when you showed them on Monday. And there's a little bit of a refresher there. We won't do that if the second and third weekends, because now we have breaks in between. You got a day between, so you can kind of go a little bit deeper on those. But this first weekend, that's how we do it.
Is there anything that excites you the most about just getting ready for another NCAA tournament? Because this is your 13th straight at Wisconsin.
It's always about, have we prepared our team enough for them to play discipline, for them to compete hard, for them to be resilient throughout the course of the match? Is there a system? Is there skills? Is there mentality? All those types of things. Is it where we're hoping it to be? And then you just turn them loose and just say, all right, go play free, go be the best you, and play with joy and fire, and go after it. And, no regrets. And so. It's always about the players and the team, and if certainly there's adjustments that are happening. I mean, we're not just sitting over there being spectators with a good seat, but there's certain things that you just like, all right, you just turn them loose, I would say. And so, it's a really fun time of year for everybody. It's really busy. I mean, it's really, really busy for everybody. But the fortunate thing is, like right after the selection show, we had a staff meeting, they're like, and I looked at them, I said, everybody knows what to do. Just, we don't need to talk as a staff, just go do what you do. And if you've got a lot of new people, then you're holding hands. You're having a lot of those discussions, a lot of meetings. But this is a group that's coaching staff that's been around a long time, that know each other. You just let them go do their thing.
Speaking of that, you mentioned the players. Speaking of those players, Mimi Colyer, Charlie Furbringer, Carter Booth named to the first team All Big Ten this week. Meanwhile, Kristen Simon, all freshman team. What was your reaction when you saw some of those awards start to come down from the conference?
Number one, Charlie being first team All Big Ten while missing 50% of the Big Ten season. I've never seen that. That is insane. And that just shows the insane respect for her season and the coaches have for her. That's absolutely incredible. Carter's putting together, I mean, she's got a shot at beating Dana Redke's hitting percentage, season hitting percentage school record. She's within a handful of points of that. I think that's one of the things that is being talked about the least within our program. Mimi has more kills per set by almost a full kill per set than what Franklin's school record was. I mean, just absolutely blew that out of the water. We're seeing some of the unbelievable individual performance in our program's history right here. I really felt like Grace Egan and Una's got to be the quietest, putting together the quietest, really good season, especially this second half. Her all-around game has just been really solid. I really was surprised that neither one of those two, her or Grace, were on that second team. Especially I think about 80 people were selected to the top two teams. It certainly felt like reading that. Just massive numbers. I can't believe that neither one of those. Who's the Looney Tune coaches that don't have Carter Booth she wasn't unanimous. How in the world is she not a top, for everybody's mind, a top 20 season put together? I want, who is that coach or two that, what are they smoking?
Yeah.
Kristen Simon being on the all freshman team, I think that's certainly warranted as well. Allie Andrew doesn't have the kills per set, but her hitting percentage and blocks certainly would have her up there. She's been a role factor. So it's amazing that we've only got 3 players on any of those first 2 teams, when teams that finished so much further behind us got that many or more. But it's a season. We're really proud of the season. It's the exact same conference record as we've had the last 2 years. That's when you think about the players that were lost and the number of players that had to come together. It was a really successful regular season, I would say.
Yeah. And by the way, one more note with Mimi, going to shatter Sarah Franklin's record in kills per set. She is at 484. Franklin had 535. So she has a chance to eclipse total kills as well in fewer sets. And that 5.32 right now is where she sits. That would be any era of scoring at Wisconsin ever, the highest kills per set. So,
yeah, you mentioned a good point. I mean, we had not played a lot of sets. 92 sets for the team. She played in 91. That's not most of our matches have been 3 sets. But that's 5.32 kills, I think you said. She's hitting 334. I mean, that is just insane for a left side attacker, right? I mean, that's just those are all-time numbers.
Yeah. All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll take a little bit of a look at the NCAA tournament again and the Badgers' first round opponent, Eastern Illinois. That is next on the Wisconsin Badgers Volleyball Radio Network on the Kelly Sheffield Show, brought to you by North and South Seafood and Smokehouse. And welcome back. It's the Kelly Sheffield Show, brought to you by North and South Seafood and Smokehouse on the Wisconsin Badgers Volleyball Radio Network. Jon Arias joined by Wisconsin coach Kelly Sheffield. So it's Eastern Illinois in the first round. And then it's either North Carolina or UTEP if the Badgers advance. Now, Eastern Illinois has had matches against the likes of Iowa State, Illinois, a Big Ten opponent, Iowa State, a tournament team. What stands out to you the most about the Panthers when you look at them?
How many times they set behind the setter. They set they've got a lefty opposite that is really, really good. That's very dynamic, takes a lot of big time swings. And then they DS her for somebody. Kind of think about what we were doing with Jay Dips back in 21. They do the same thing. They bring somebody in and they give her the ball behind the setter a ton in the back row. So there is a really heavy drum beats of attacking that's coming in those two spaces behind the setter, front row and back row. And we're going to have to be really good at defending that.
You know, come NCAA tournament time, you've talked about before that when this team is kind of like, they respond well, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If you say, hey, this needs to be better, they usually say, okay, and then they respond well. How important is a trait like that to have during the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I mean, every team's got their own personality, right? And so this team is I was just talking with Chad McGahee downstairs right before when I was walking up here. And some teams you have to, hey, bring it down a little bit, calm down, or you're fine. You're always at the verge of explosions with some people. This team, it's a little bit more of, come on, let's go. Where's the giddy up here? That they tend to go a little bit chill, and sometimes that is an advantage to them, and other times it gets in the way. And so, every once in a while, there's times that you gotta. This analogy is going to sound horrible, and I don't care if it's not politically correct. I don't care, but it's, I used to work at a horse track, right? And so there'd be some times that you see those jockeys with that, and, come on, and they're kind of whipping that. We do not whip our players. So anybody that's offended, we don't do that. But there's some times, if that, boom, they're off and they're going. There's some times we've got to get into this team and say, let's go, come on. But what is really enjoyable as a coach is when they respond to the coaching, and, sometimes it's, you'll get some players and it's, here, we're trying to break down passing. And no matter how you're trying to break it down, they just don't respond to the coaching. That can be frustrating or, that was what was so enjoyable about coaching a player like Sarah Franklin, is that she could get in her own way from time to time, but boy, she really wanted to be good. And she really tried to respond to what was being asked out of her. And you'll go to the end of the earth for players like that. This team, it's the same type of thing, is that they respond to coaching. Sometimes they get a little bit too chill and goofy, and that shows a lot of their age. And there's times that they need to, this is not the time right now in the middle of set 2 to be doing your TikToks right now. Go and kick the crap out of your opponent. Let's go. But 100% of the time, this team has responded when you're saying, this isn't good enough. This is the behavior that is needed in order to be a champion, in order to have championship behaviors. Every time that this group has responded. And that makes them one of my all-time favorite teams to coach.
Quick question on Charlie Furbringer before we take a break. We've seen this team lose one match with her as the starting setter. Is there anything else you want to see from Charlie in the postseason?
Holy moly. Charlie just playing so well. I mean, afterwards, after the season's done, I'm going to have to break down some film for people to see what she is doing, how she is setting things up throughout a course of a match, how some of those decisions are playing out, because it's really, really impressive, some of the stuff that she's doing. Beyond just the consistency of her setting and the hitting percentages, what is going into some of that is is really kind of next level stuff that she's doing. What do we need to see her do? I don't know. She's got a little cold right now. I'd like her to be totally healthy as much as possible as we're going into this. But, I don't know anything playing wise. She's blocking really well. She's putting her hands in really good positions. One of her better defensive players. I mean, she's playing really good volleyball right now. If there's things she's not doing, it's because of, maybe she's being held back a little bit by her health. But the kid is playing some great volley. I can't imagine anybody playing at a level like this in the country at her position.
All right, coming up next on the Kelly Sheffield Show, some questions from the fans. And I've got a question for Coach about the communication on the sidelines with his team. All right, we'll talk about that coming up next. This is the Kelly Sheffield Show, brought to you by North and South Seafood and Smokehouse on the Wisconsin Badgers Volleyball Radio Network. And this is the Kelly Sheffield Show, brought to you by North and South Seafood and Smokehouse on the Wisconsin Badgers Volleyball Radio Network. Wisconsin taking on Eastern Illinois in the NCAA Tournament. We've got our coverage on the ESPN Wisconsin app on the Wisconsin Badgers Volleyball Radio Network. And then if they do win and advance to play Friday against either North Carolina or UTEP, you can hear that as well on ESPN Madison. That'll be also on ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Beaver Dam, and the ESPN Wisconsin app. All right, I've got a question about communication on the sidelines for you before I take a fan question. So, and this stems from what happened at Minnesota to end the regular season. There was a play that was challenged by Minnesota. I believe Minnesota challenged one aspect of the play that didn't matter really, because there was a libero who was setting overhead in the front row, and that should have been a violation against your team, I guess. And I was wondering, when something like that happens, what's it sound like on the sideline? I'd imagine players saying, like, she said it overhead, like, or, consulting with, everybody before you do make
it. It's kind of amazing that none of the, going back and watching the TV broadcast, that neither of the broadcasters even talked about it.
By the way, hey, Jess, that's the first thing Jess said on our broadcast.
Yeah, it was the thing that jumped out to us immediately. It's like, oh, why are we, but things happen so fast. You're hoping that Kristen uses her platform right there. But when you're looking at that ball, the pancake, and it comes right up on her really quick, and that's just, you're just instincts right there. And so she goes her hands, and she's inside the 10-foot line. Una gets a swing on it, gets a kill. Both officials missed that. Probably because of everybody's looking at the pancake. The line judges are looking at the pancake and processing that. I guarantee the down official was doing that. And as that pancake is being down, Keegan from Minnesota is saying that's down. And you could tell that the down official kind of looked kind of quickly at him when you're going back and doing that. And he starts walking towards the down official with the C, with the hand, meaning I'm going to challenge this. And so I think that he got locked in on the challenge, that I think it was just, all right, get the play over with and let's go. And so that was what was challenged, was the pancake. When but the Minnesota players started yelling about the illegal set, the libero in front of the 10-foot line using our hands. But he challenges it. And so the players all just thought, all right, good, our coach is challenging this. So you go back and you watch, and they're all in their huddle, but one player remains really feisty about it, and that's Minnesota's setter. And she's talking to Keegan, and Keegan kind of looks around, and then he talks to the up official and says, hey, it was illegal set. That was the first time he recognized it, was when his setter brought it to the attention. He turned and asked the assistant coach, who confirmed that. And then he kind of got a little bit worked up as was working the officials based off of that. The problem is that you can only challenge one thing, right? So he already put a challenge forward, and the official was already looking for whether the pancake was down. And then once he lost that challenge, he couldn't challenge the other element. Only each team can challenge one time per rally. And so what was going on our sideline we got in there and we were certain we were going to lose that challenge because we thought he was challenging the setter. So we got in there and I think I might have walked in there and said, remember, we got to use our platform in there, and just, but knowing full well, man, this was bang, bang. But immediately Mimi and Charlie, both of those guys were just like, hey, next play, come on, let's go. Forget about it. We'll lose this. Next play. And there was such a strength with how their voices were carrying throughout the entire match. I mean, Mimi and Carter and Charlie, those three voices throughout the match, and most of our team was as strong as I'd seen it all year long. And that never was more crystallized than that moment right there when we were certain we were going to lose that challenge, and just the urgency they had of everybody in this huddle. You move forward and we're siding out right now.
So if that happens to Wisconsin, if that play is going against Minnesota, is there like a protocol as you as a coach? Do you like look at somebody first? Do you ask, like, how do you determine what exactly to challenge?
Yeah, it's fast, right? It's sometimes our challenges take a little bit longer than some others because we're trying to get our, I'm trying to take a little bit of input in here. So I'm usually not rushing the challenge. Mm-hmm. But that can come from players. It can come from the benches, which it does, Gary and Britt and Lauren and, John, those guys are very clear with some of the things, but a lot of times nobody has a better view of it than the players. Nobody had a better view of the players. And Keegan might've been a little bit quick to judgment on what he was going to challenge without getting information from his players. But I totally get how it went down the way that it did. Totally get it. And I could see that happening with us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we don't have really time for other questions because we are out of time for the show this week, but best of luck against Eastern Illinois. And then hopefully the following day against either North Carolina or UTEP. And let's keep this thing going. Thanks, Coach.
Just the best time of the year, right? The NCAA tournament, and just, hopefully a packed field house both these days. Hopefully we have another one of these shows next week where we're still playing, but you're guaranteed one match from here on out. And with the possibility of 6, I mean, we are right down head, let's go back to that horse analogy, and down the stretch they come.
Very good. We'll end it on that. Thank you. This has been the Kelly Sheffield Show, brought to you by North and South Seafood and Smokehouse on the Wisconsin Badgers Volleyball Radio Network.